we're in Canada because
a boot.
Not a boot. Sorry.
Hey, welcome back. Trail Trash ADV with Jeff in the garage. This is technically video 4. I think I combined the first 2. Anyway, of the Goldwing Project. That rear brake caliper, that's going to be project number 1. We're going to get that off. Picked up some M8 by 1.25 bleeder screws. These are supposed to be speed bleeders, and I think we'll put them on the rear brake and then the front brake that's linked to it, which may not stay. I'm not a big fan of link brakes. It's not going to happen now. I think I may convert that to the front master running both brakes. I've also got an old DR650 master off that front end we got that I may swap out for this master because I think it's still leaking. And if it's only running 1 disc, then the bore on that master is probably fine for this. Down the road, maybe I'll switch to a bigger bore if I if I do convert the front 2 discs to the front brake lever and de-link those brakes. All right. So we got the caliper off with some difficulty because there's a ridge around the discs. It's mostly corrosion. I don't think it's actually the disc wore down till there's a ridge. It's just corrosion is built up where the pad surface is traveling. So it's kind of manky right now. I got fluid all over the place. There's lots of meat left on those discs, and I don't really want to get them covered in brake fluid because it contaminates the brake pad material. So we're going to get those off there first. So I was going to say that looks like a 10. And then I'm going to clean this thing up, and I'll probably do that part off camera. But we'll at least show you how this stuff comes off. So we got a screw. And this would be a pin retaining plate of some sort. And again, I don't remember if I've ever specifically had these brakes like this off before. But it looks like somebody's pounded that pin in because it looks like they're peened over a little bit. And I'm not so sure that's supposed to be like that. And it looks like somebody's pounded on these too to get them out at some point. So, oh, there, come off. But not without some difficulty. So, I don't think, it looks like somebody's got on there with some pliers or something like that, trying to pull them out. I wouldn't want to do that. I'd want to get behind this lip maybe and kind of, I think what I'll do is I think I will use a punch and just very lightly tap. How's that? Yeah, something that covers a lot of the space, maybe something even a little wider than that. Yeah, this is just slightly bigger. This is a tapered punch, so we're not going to go in there for very far. If you don't know, the bigger the surface area, the less damage I'm going to do to the front of this. So like the more surface area and straight on, because we don't really want to damage or peen that over, because then it won't come out the next time. So the smaller surface area on the punch, the more of a damage it's going to do to the end of the pin. Alright, so there we go. So I'm going to grab some pliers, but what I'm going to do is I'm very gently going to grab right there on this lip, okay? And if it doesn't come out, I'm not going to force it because I don't want to scar this all up. Now that's not going to come out, so I don't want to scar that up. So the other thing I'll do is try to get in behind that. Now these pliers don't have any serrations on them. So very lightly will I just do that and then give it some leverage this way. So I'm not actually clamping down on the pin as much as leveraging on the back of that lip. But that's not working either. So we're going to go back to the punch. And I'm hitting that a little more than I want to. Boom. But maybe we'll get it out to the point where we can just slide it out. See, I can do that one by hand now. This one is still not going by hand. Now, I'm going to quickly reach the punch's limit. And the punch has now reached its limit. Will this go in there? No, too tight. Oh, wait, no, I got it far enough anyway. Oh, no, we're going to have to tap it. But see, this is different. This is not tapered, it's straight. And once we get that out of there, these pins aren't going back in until I clean them up a little bit. Yeah, somebody's mangled that. That's terrible. I'm going to go over to the vise, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the vise jaws here, but I'm not going to clamp on this, and just see if I can give it some gentle taps. That worked. Just don't have your pinky in the way. Oh, that's the one I dislocated. All right, so let's look at these pads. Yeah, they're full of crud, but I think if we clean them up with some brake clean And they're pretty skipped. They're not glazed or anything, so we'll set these aside. There's still tons of meat left on those. And I'm not one to throw away anything that has some value. Alright, so let's get this out of here. This all needs cleaned up. Now, what we'll do is we'll use a clamp. Do I want to do that? Do I want to clamp those back? That'll force that fluid out of there. But I really don't want any of the crud on the outside of this exposed piston to wreck the seal in there. So far it looks like the seals are fine. We've got no corrosion in here, and that's usually where we get all the like this. Once the stainless part, it depends. Some of these aren't stainless. Some are just polished steel. But we do have a little bit of rust, and stainless will rust eventually. Like, it's not completely made as, you know, zinc. There is some iron content there. That's why it's steel. So we will try to find some Scotch Brite or some steel wool quad aught or 000 to clean that up with a little bit, because I don't want to scratch the surface. I just want to kind of clean that up. But it looks like might have been replaced at some point, because those don't look like chromed. Those look like stainless steel pistons, not chromed mild steel. My favorite cleaner. We're going to have some spraying on. And see, that's what the brake fluid leaking out of that bleeder is, you know, over some time has really just eaten all of the caliper paint. And caliper paint's tough stuff. It's caliper paint. They call it caliper paint for a reason. There's a distinction. At some point during the build process, it may come off and get recoated and repainted and all this stuff. But, you know, this isn't going to be one of those build series where, you know, this bike is down for a year and everything gets powder coated. And like, there's very few powder coaters around here, and they're all expensive. More expensive than I want to put in an old 1983 bike, especially with a questionable engine. Now, why don't you rebuild the engine? Well, see, the choice of a Goldwing is not your friend, because the pistons in a Goldwing do not reside in cylinder barrels. I mean, they do, but the cylinder barrels are actually incorporated into the engine cases. So it's not like an inline 4 Japanese bike where you can just pop the cylinder head up and then the jugs up, you know, rebore, new rings, all blah, 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 oversized pistons, whatever you want to do to it, right? You're not doing that to a wing. You got to crack the cases. It's a complete engine disassembly. And, well, you know, if something happens to the engine and, you know, and it comes to that, then fine. But while the engine's running, it's not coming out of the frame. And so a lot of this stuff, it's going to get serviced back to working order, and it'll get prettied up over time, you know, in bits and pieces. I'm not tearing everything down apart. Just not doing it. Is that a 10 or 12? No, 10. Okay. Let's get the old bleeder out there. Yeah. So we'll compare that to the new ones here in a second. Now, a good way to get these pistons out, just put a block of wood, a thin block of wood in here, and put some compressed air to them, and that'll pop them out. But you got to be careful, because it can fire them right across the room. Because I really should clean these up, I guess, while I've got them broken down this far. I'd like to get that out of there too. So maybe we'll do that, just clean things up, and that way I can really clean those pistons up really good. So I guess we gone this far, and I'm going to drill that out. I don't want shavings in there, so let's just go ahead and do it. Now, they make rubber tips for this. Maybe I should grab mine out. Rubber tip. Okay, I think we'll just use a rag here, and we got to screw this back in. Sorry, memory card got full, and so I had to put a new one in a card, and I had to get an assistant because my hands are all grimy. I wasn't getting any love putting it in this hole. Yeah. So we put in a bolt, a solid bolt, and I come over to the bleeder screw, and I got one of the pistons out. However, now we're stuck because the other piston didn't budge. So what I've done is stuff the rag in there as best I can to get as much pressure over to the other piston as we can. However, I don't know. It's probably just going to blow that rag out of there. So let's see. Yep, that's exactly what it's going to do. So I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to clean this up. And we'll try to put that piston back in. And then we'll block it up so all the pressure's going to go the other way. Maybe we'll try this first. Stuff called Never Dull. It's just a general purpose metal polish and clean it. Nah, that's not touching that. I hate steel wool. Just feels gross. And aluminum foil, bunched up aluminum foil is another good corrosion remover. These pistons really should be replaced if they've got pitting in it, but they are out at the very extent. So where the seal is going to ride is more back here anyway. So we may get away with it. I'm certainly not replacing the pistons right now. So that's probably good as I'm going to get it without going, you know. So let's look in here. Well, maybe. There we go. There we go. We'll clean that up. Now, the other way to really get this good, and what should, you know, if you're really going for a restoration, is to get the old sandblaster out. Sandblast this. Now you got to be careful. You got to fill up this because you do not want to get your sandblaster in there. Now I don't have a rebuild kit, so I do not want to damage this to the point where it's not going to go back in. But, so I don't think I want to disturb that. I'm just cleaning any gunk around the little channel in here. These are nice and soft, so they haven't hardened up. All right, so here we are. I can't get that piston to move, and I can't force it back in. So the other method to do is to put the other piston back in, hook up a master cylinder, block that other piston, and then use hydraulic pressure, which is more effective than air to force that out. Some people even use grease to kind of lubes everything up, but it's a mess to clean up afterwards. I'm not going that way just yet. So here's the old bleeder, here's the new bleeder. So I would say that this must have been an M6 by 1. I reamed it out to an M7 because of that. We're going to go to an M8 because we can. That's your standard Japanese size bleeder. I'm not sure why these brakes weren't using that. Probably should put just a tiny bit of grease on here. That'll catch most of the swath. That was the other reason I want to get that piston out, just in case any of the swath got in there from whatever. But we'll just have to clean it out as best we can. I mean, eventually this stuff's going to have to get a full rebuild kit anyway, or replacement caliper or something. So we're just going for functional. Oh, you're on camera. Welcome to YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Okay. So we drilled it to 1764s, which is the closest I have to a 7mm tap, or a 7mm drill bit, which is what you need for M8 1.25. So that should have got some of the junk out of the way, so this goes in a little smoother, okay? Now the problem with these taps is I need a bottom tap. There's a different type of tap for a blind hole, and I don't have it. So the difference is, see how these taper off down here, but they don't up here. So a blind hole tap actually doesn't have those starting threads. It'll cut sharper threads all the way to the bottom of the blind hole. So we're just going to do the best we can here. And see, I don't even know if that's even going to bite down that far. That's sticking up out of there quite a bit. And the only thing we could do is we could drill in there farther. I think we got some meat. We could actually go in. And we could probably go in quite a bit farther. I just don't know if I want to try to do that. And we'll tighten her down and see if we got the meat. Yeah, we'll see. And we'll give it a little spray of compressed air. Now, let's get our seal back in. So, yeah, we'll see how well it stands up. It shouldn't be getting any brake fluid there anyway. Because if brake fluid's getting past the main seal, then it's not a good thing. Alright, now we've got this cleaned up as well as we can get it cleaned up. So we're going to take some brake fluid, fill our cap here. And we're going to rub all these seals with brake fluid to give it some lubrication so we can hopefully get this piston in. Now I know why that seal's all kind of mangled up. she wants to roll over. It's kind of got a double lip on it. I don't think I've ever tried to deal with, never seen one with the two rubber lips on them. But leave it to Honda, to over-engineer crap. Alright. Now, here's another trick. So 19 is almost the size of that piston. So that'll help us get it centered better. This is why if you don't have a bench vise in your shop, you need one. Because they are just so good at so many things. I don't like the force stuff. That seems like it's taking a heck of a lot more force than it should. There we go. Alright. And we're going to try to move that back a little bit too. I got a feeling that's just stuck. So, there we go. Okay. Now, I've cleaned that up as best I could, that corrosion. So hopefully that won't come in contact with the main seal. If it buggers up a seal, it'll just be that outer seal. But I think we've successfully done what we wanted to do. Alright, so my battery died, so I went ahead and I just cleaned up a few, looks like somebody beat the crap out of this, so I just cleaned it up a little bit. I didn't take all the marks out of it, I didn't want to grind into it too much, and eventually it'll get a coat of paint, but it's not going to right now. Got the pads back in, and I cleaned up my hands to go get a battery because I really want to show you guys something. Remember we were pulling these out from the other direction, and I thought, that was kind of weird, right? But it looks like somebody's pounded that pin in because it looks like they're peened over a little bit. And I'm not so sure that's supposed to be like that. So, because these pins have got a groove on one side. And I'm like, why would they be over here? And why did somebody try to shove that on there? And it's because obviously whoever's in here last didn't put it together right. So, the groove is to keep those pins in with this bracket. So, I want to make sure you guys knew that. Anybody that was paying attention earlier is probably going, they're not in there right. We'll just give this a little zippy zip. There we go. Not much. I don't like to impact stuff when it's going back on. So, we got that piston to move, of course. I cleaned up around it with a little bit of a wire brush, just a brass brush, so it doesn't eat into the steel very well. Like I said, there's still some corrosion on the outside of those pistons. It is what it is. Anyway, so I'm going to get this back installed, and we'll see if we can bleed it with these new speed bleeders. And see if this actually works, and if that bleeder is actually making contact in there, keeping the fluid in. Okay. So I know I haven't got you guys in here real close, but this is the speed bleeder. Oh, wrong wrench. So the concept here is that you loosen it off, and it only let fluid go one way. I'm just going to let that go to the ground for now. I'll clean it up. So I've got the cap off over here, and we're just going to see if we actually get some fluid building. Now, we haven't built this master cylinder yet over here, and there could be something going on with that. So, but I hear it. Oh, I hear it. It's firming up. How are we doing our fluid level? Seems okay. Plug the end of that. Break the seal here. Yeah, no mess. Look at that. That's pretty slick. I'm impressed. Leave this off for a second. We'll pump that brake, make sure we got a good seal there. Yeah, nothing's coming through that. Brake still feels a little spongy. But I got a feeling I gotta bleed this front brake here. Yeah, that's not releasing that well. Bet you it's that piston that we didn't take out. Alright, let's go look at the front one here. I'll crack it a little bit here. Yeah, there's no bubbles coming out of that. I think we got her. We got her good enough anyway. I mean, we got old rubber lines, and I'm not expecting sport bike Gixxer type performance from the brakes at this point anyway. I said I might revert that link braking system anyway. Yeah, alright, so supper time. I gotta go get things ready. My wife will be home from work soon, and I haven't done anything but play in the garage. I did get a little laundry done, but not much. So now that we got the brake set up, I kind of want, well, I got all the lights off it. I kind of want to go test ride it. But I got the headlight off and the tail light, all the blinkers and stuff off of it. I'm just asking for somebody to pull me over. But we'll see. Anyway, so for now, for this video, I'm Jeff from Trail Trash ADV. Please like and subscribe if you're interested in this type of content, and I'll catch you on the next video.